Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and in collaboration with the Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving the most beautiful car in the world. In the opinion of Enzo Ferrari, at least. This is the 1971 Jaguar E-Type. I'm going to say Jaguar, because every time I say Jaguar, you get mad at me for mispronouncing it. But yes, the Jaguar E-Type. This is the coupe, and it's a Series 3. So, when Enzo said it was the most beautiful car in the world, he was referring to the Series 1 car, although not a whole lot changed. This shape is incredible, and in the Series 3 design, it only comes in a V12. The Series 1 and Series 2 had straight 6s, so this has a very unique sound. The quickest way to identify a Series 3 E-Type is with these monster quad exhaust. It is not subtle. The coupe is near and dear to my heart because one of my favorite movies is Harold and Maude when I was growing up. So Harold turned this into a hearse in that movie, and it's just so iconically charming, although I appreciate this kind of deep maroon candy apple red color rather than the black because you can see the color shift a lot, even in direct sunlight. When the E-Type was launched, it was renowned not only for its beautiful appearance, but its technology. It had independent front and rear suspensions, four-wheel disc brakes. You can see the front disc brakes through these beautiful center lock wire wheels, but in the rear, they're inboard, so those brake rotors are tucked up right next to the differential. The rear suspension is pretty strange because it actually has 2 springs and 2 dampers back here, while the front has dampers and torsion bars. Now, there were no short wheelbase Series 3 cars, so they all were 2+2s, and you're thinking, well, hey Tom, where are those rear seats? Well, let me show you, because this is actually very cool. You could actually get more luggage space by folding this forward. If you want 2+2 mode, there you go, pardon my water. And to open the rear barn door hatch, you use that little guy right there. This is actually kind of a pain to get into. Gotta find your way in. There we go. Made for nimble little fingers, that's for certain. You can tell that it was a luxury vehicle, pardon my crazy hair in the shadow, but everything is covered. They wanted to make sure that inside the cabin you weren't seeing any ugliness. They just wanted it to look beautiful. And of course, it does come with a spare. Just pop this guy off, and we've got access to our spare tire. This would be kind of a nightmare because it's center lock, and our fuel filter, and you've got access to all of your fuel lines as well. What a thunk. But what you really want to see is what's under this hood. And it's a cool hood for sure. To open the hood, we pull this on both sides. And then just push forward and this whole thing becomes available to you. So this actually wouldn't be too terrible to work on, although I'm sure because it's a Jaguar, there's plenty of mechanics who would be triggered with PTSD just by the sight of this thing. But honestly, it runs like a top. This thing sounds absolutely incredible. So let's jump in and take it for a ride. This particular version is an automatic gearbox, and it has this dainty little lever, but let's turn it over. It definitely wants to get up and go up against those brakes, but my goodness, the steering, this has power steering as the Series 3 cars did, and it's so light, it's luxurious. That's the best way to describe it. I can imagine that people were probably used to some pretty rough steering cars back in the day. To get into this and just have really nice light steering must have been such a treat. Gotta be very gentle coming through here. Despite the 70s automatic transmission we've got here, pretty impressive throttle response. And that's not full throttle. I'm not going crazy here because it's not my position to come and stress test this old Jag. But she is sporty. She cranks right along. And that's really the beauty of a big displacement V12. It's not necessarily like winding out your red line, it's that you can just waft along on the torque way down low. I mean, there's no downshifting necessary for this car to get out of its own way. Look at this thing, ready? It's got 4 Zenith carburetors on it, so, you know, there's plenty of tunability to make sure it's breathing okay. It genuinely feels like you're driving on a cloud. This is so luxurious. I love the cabin too, because there's tons and tons of visibility out of this thing, although I don't have a passenger side mirror, which might come in handy. This driver's side and this guy's doing me just fine. I've got to say, I'm very confident in these brakes. This is like easy to drive. Sometimes you get into some older cars and the brakes can date it. I mean, sure, maybe a transmission dates a car, but you don't want the brakes to date a car, because that can be very scary. There we go. She's definitely got torque. First gear is pretty long, so unless you really bury your foot, she's not gonna go too hard. There is no replacement for displacement. I've got to say, there's something really special about looking out over this vast hood with the louvers in it. This looks so cool. The beauty of British cars in this era is that they were built and used in England, which means that they were built and used on pretty crummy roads. And there's something very special about driving this car today on nice roads, because even on nice roads here, there's bumps and stuff. But yes, it's a sports car. It doesn't beat you up. This is actually very relaxing to drive. I'm not concerned about the well-being of the car other than just mechanical things. Oh, I love the rumble of this idle. The whole car is just kind of vibrating with me like an old Corvette, but my goodness, I know that I've got something way cooler under the hood. Getting a little warm in here, but I'm thankful this has roll down windows, because, you know, a British car with more electronics is never something you need. I am keeping my eye on the water temp just because these have a reputation, but I think we're doing all right. It's hanging in there just fine. This is like the nicest day of the year so far. I love watching old vintage racing with Jag E-types. They just look so incredible cranking around a corner. That is so cool. We've not only got to take the pothole line, but we've got to take the photography line, because we can't get it wet. I've still got to take photos of this thing. If we hit a puddle, I got to add a lot more work to my job. Is that a C63 ahead of me? That looks like Will Thibodeau, Cars of Mass. Let's see what's up with this. I think we found a friend. Oh. This thing looked good, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna turn around here. Just follow me up. So how lucky of us, we have Cars of Mass who just showed up randomly. But yeah, this one's gonna go up for auction. So we'll go ahead and get all the necessary photos we need of the car. Kinda, you know, it's funny because I usually hate shooting convertibles because you have to shoot everything twice, with once with the top up and once with the top down. With this car, I basically have to shoot everything twice because I have to do it in this configuration and then with it all closed up, just because this looks so cool. How cool is this? Oh my goodness. And you get, look at this in the back. Like, how insane is this shot? This looks so cool. It's probably going to be a terrible shot, but I don't even care. It looks amazing. It's hard to take a bad picture of this car. What do you think?
Yeah, no, this is a pretty beautiful car. It doesn't really have any bad angles.
No. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the 1971 Series 3 Jaguar E-Type V12, 5.3 liter, 272 horsepower, all of the specs. This thing is just such a cool thing to drive. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And don't forget to respect the drive. And of course, check out the Bond Group for more of these insane cars in their inventory. I'll see you in the next one. You'll also notice that these rear windows pop out so you get some nice fresh air for those rear passengers or just to get some more flowing through the cabin.